What is going
I
on with you?
I can't get Merle Haggard off my mind. I mean, the song, the, one of the Merle Haggard songs just came
Mm-hmm.
up, and I heard it. It's been a long day,
Right.
and you know, Merle Haggard is on my mind.
Yeah. Look, hey, nothing against Merle Haggard. I'm a Merle Haggard fan, but I just wanted to make sure that at least in your mind, you're as right as you normally are, at least, or abnormally are. I don't know. Anyway.
Well,
Oh,
there's a lot of people
by
that
the way, we're live, so.
there's a lot of people that say I'm not right, and that's fine. They're entitled to their opinion, and I might would agree with them on some things.
Well, look, being right in the head is all a matter of perspective. What some people consider crazy, other people might consider completely normal.
Well, that's entirely accurate. But yeah, Merle Haggard, you've never heard the song "Are the Good Times Really Over"?
Yeah, I've heard it. I'm sure it's been a while since I've listened to it, but my
Well,
grandmother was a huge fan of Merle Haggard. I like, country music and what I kind of call classic country music too, so.
I listen to everything. I listen to all
All
music. I
right.
mean, okay, so our older fans don't fall out of your chair. I mean, Billie Eilish, okay. I mean, I can dig it. I mean, there's a couple of
Okay.
things there, okay. Metallica, I can go there.
Eh,
Country, Merle Haggard, oh, I'm all over that. Give me some David Allen Coe. You better believe
eh,
it. But today, Merle Haggard, I mean, I was moved by Merle Haggard, and that song has moved me before, but it just really struck a nerve. I mean, so, you know, talking about history and the country, and basically, the main chorus there, we're rolling downhill like a snowball from hell. And, you know, with no kind of chance for the flag or the Liberty Bell. And it's
eh.
got me thinking about government as a whole because, you know, on our show tonight, we're going to visit, of course, Bossier City,
Right.
and we're going to visit the police jury, and we're going
Mm-hmm.
to revisit the school board from the last show,
Mm-hmm.
and open meetings laws. And, we've got a lot of Cypress District stuff in the hopper. But overall, the Merle Haggard show or song, the good times really over. I mean, it's just in my head because no chance for the flag or the Liberty Bell. Because in every one of these bodies, we see problems and we're bringing it to the attention of folks.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I
Or,
don't know if we're doing any good or not.
well, yeah, I was going to say, are we making any progress or what we would consider progress? And, well, that is a legitimate question. Speaking of questions, we've got 35 people watching, and the question tonight is before we go to our intro and countdown and all that kind of good stuff, what is the whiskey for tonight? The title
What
of our
is the
show is It's a Whiskey Night.
well?
I mean, in all honesty, I am drinking sweet tea again, but I will say that I wish this was a Crown and Mountain Dew. Now, I realize Crown is a blended whiskey and it's 80% vodka, and so, it's not a true whiskey, but, it's kind of close. So that would be
well,
mine if I were choosing to drink whiskey tonight.
Well, if I was choosing to drink whiskey tonight, it would probably be some new whiskey I saw at Sam's that, is this butter flavored and it's got some name. I don't remember, but
Mm.
it really tastes good.
Yeah.
But
Well,
how many folks, I mean, of the folks watching, how many of you, so sound off, we're gonna go to our break here in a second, but how and of course, please tag some folks and get some folks to join in the show because we're going to have a really good show tonight. Bossier City. Oh, there was a show in Bossier City today, and King David returned. Did you know that?
wait, it was a soap opera show again?
Not there was not supposed to be any soap opera, but
Yeah, it was
King
going to kind of
David
be a boring meeting. So what did King David actually speak? He's been like
he
cat had his tongue
he
for the last couple of
he
meetings.
spoke and he came out of the woodwork. And Bossier City has a councilman.
Oh, really? An actual
They
councilman?
Bossier City actually has a councilman. In fact, he did the mic drop thing, as that saying goes, drop the mic. They got one down there. You got a
Hmm.
councilman in Bossier City, and you might ought to be happy for it.
Hmm.
And
I'm intrigued by that. We actually have one that has a
w-
set of kahunas.
we do, and you know us. We're out about trying to help people, and so the school board. If any of you teachers that are watching that have the ear of a school board member, and you want to tag them and tell them, hey, you might want to tune in to Bossier Watch, we can give them a little bit of an education tonight.
Yeah, a little bit. All right. Well, let's.
That sounded kind of arrogant, and don't leave the police jury out.
Well, it's not arrogant if you can back it up.
We've got something for the police jury, and look, it's not all criticism. Everybody thinks that we're so negative and nothing but criticism, but I actually have something good to say about a police juror. I do.
I'm
I've got some
shocked.
criticism for the police jury, but there's one police juror
Mm-hmm.
that I have got to give some credit to.
Well, that will be interesting in our new spirit of positivity. All right. Well, we got about 46 people watching right now. So, folks, for those of you that have been here a while, you kind of know the drill. For those of you that are new, we've got at least one new viewer out there. Robert Johnson said he was new to the show. Thank you, Robert, for joining us. I think you're on the YouTube side. But anyway, so we're going to do our countdown. It's about 2.5 minutes, and I don't know, it's another 30-second or 1-minute video that rolls through. Then we come back, and we're going to start talking about the subjects. That gives y'all a chance to go make a drink if you don't already have one, make some popcorn, whatever, get ready for the show. So what do you
Hey,
say we do a countdown, Mr. Lowry?
let's do the countdown, but it also gives them the opportunity to tag some friends to
Yes,
join the show because we're going to enlighten you on things you otherwise wouldn't know unless you watch it here because you're not going to catch it on the fake news.
that's correct. And we are expanding the show and going to multiple platforms this year. As a matter of fact, it's already in progress. We'll talk some more about that in the future. So, yeah, you're right, Duke. Tag, text folks. We don't care how you invite them. Just make sure they get on and watch the show. All right, well, let's go ahead and do the countdown. And we'll be back, folks. 2.5, 3 minutes. We'll be back, and we'll get started.
Just, they feel helpless, they don't feel heard, they have nowhere to turn.
In all honesty, we try to lay low a little bit because of the fear that we would not be able to camp there.
And I titled it A Shot Across the Bow of the Good Old Boys.
Hello, everybody. I don't think I've ever done a video before on here, but yeah, I wanted to tell y'all what frustrates me a little bit about permits.
Cockroach of the week is, drumroll please, Allie Feaster Smith.
We can't be apathetic about what's going on in our state. We have to all pull up our bootstraps and get on top of this. So you're right. There's a problem out there. I mean, and man, you can see it everywhere.
Well, look, we have allowed government to become our wherewithal to everything.
Well, I've not heard my name in stable or Baton Rouge in stable in the same sentence in a long time.
You're about to be killed by a Zamboni, or you're gonna die in 5 minutes.
This Bossier Watch live broadcast is brought to you by Eagle Truck Center, soaring to new heights. The Outdoor News, fishing and outdoors for our area. Acadiana Mortgage, over 23 years in the mortgage business. Smarter Geek, making technology easier. And the many supporters, donations, and folks sharing information and watching out for Bossier. Now, grab your popcorn and a drink. Here we go. Ha! Smooth as silk transitions on the technological front tonight.
Smooth as silk. Smooth as silk. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We're glad you're here. And so here's the question of the night, Rex. This is the question of the night. For everybody watching and for you as well, I'm just wondering. Like I said earlier, I said I got Merle Haggard on the mind tonight, right?
Okay.
I heard the song. And in his song, he poses the question, and are the good times really over? He says, is the best of the free life behind us now? Are the good times really over for good? And I say to everybody, do you think is the best of the free life behind us now? And are the good times really over for good? Do you think that it is? I'm wondering what everybody thinks.
Well, I'll give you my 2 cents and let everybody think about it and give us some comments here. So, define, when the good times were. What era was the good times? Was it World War I time? Was it the rise of Germany and the Nazis that led into World War II? Was it the aftermath of World War II and the rise of the Soviet Union? Was it the civil rights era of the 60s? Tell me when the good time. What was it? The astronomical oil and gas prices in the 70s and leading into Jimmy Carter?
That's an interesting thing, because Merle Haggard, when he wrote the song, he says back before Elvis and before the Vietnam War came along, before the Beatles and yesterday.
Yeah, but there's the Korean War before that. There was, it's all a matter of perspective.
When a man could still work and when he would.
There are plenty of people that work now. Did you look here? Let me. And so
would you not agree that in society today we got a lot of people that want to sit on their duff and get a free check?
Well, no. Here's the problem with that: is that theory doesn't really hold water, because those free checks have been cut off for about 6 months now, and people are still leaving and they're adjusting into service-related work deals. That's true.
Government is dishing out money left and right. And
I didn't say government.
Less about everybody watching this show and the freebies that are being handed out left and right. Bossier cities, they don't care. They're not even caring about dollars.
I'm not disagreeing that the government doles
and
out money. I'm just saying, put down the Republican talking points for a minute, because that's one of them, and it doesn't hold water.
Come on. I'm not talking Republican there. I mean, are there really any? What is a Republican?
I'm making sure that it's a whiskey night. So, see,
it's a lighter shade of a Democrat. I'm sorry. It's a lighter shade of a. I told you tonight I'm going to be in rare form, because I am wound up. All of our politicians. Because Merle Haggard in this song, I believe that a lot of what he's talking about and a lot of the calls is because of the politicians. Because included in that song, he talks about before Nixon lied to us all on TV, and it seems like all of our politicians are just lying through their freaking traps to all of us, Rex. I'm sorry. You're just going to have to bear with me tonight, because I am wound up tight.
I would agree that 99% of them are, maybe even more than 99%.
What does it take for us to get a politician that is straight with us? A politician that don't blow smoke up our butt and does what's best on behalf of our citizens. Because they all promise it. Every one of them runs for office and they promise it.
Well, I'll say this. I think we have 2 of them in the making, but again, we'll see. We thought we had 3, and we see how that's turned out here in Bossier, but I think we have 2 of them in the making, but we'll have to see how it goes. I mean, time will tell, because You know, a lot of politicians, well, I won't say a lot, some politicians start out with the best of intentions and they go downhill from there. Nobody holds them accountable. Nobody really holds their feet to the fire. And, you know, it's like the kid going to the cookie jar. If you don't smack his hand every now and then, he's going to keep going in the cookie jar and eating all the cookies.
Oh, yeah.
Or she.
I mean, they freaking all, you know, it's just like they get in there and something tugs at them and pulls them one way or the other, and they go, and then they've lost sight of where or what right and wrong is and what they're supposed to do. I see somebody tagging Mike Johnson right now.
Well, talk about the king of silvery tongue.
Well,
oh, I want to point out Kevin Wiggins said the 80s were great to me. Kevin, I was born in 71. I agree the 80s were a great time. I love 70s music, late 60s, you know, classic rock too, but the 80s were a great time. Not perfect, but a great time.
I would agree. I think the 80s were a great time. Reagan, I mean,
he wasn't perfect, but I enjoyed, you know, even though I was in my early teens, junior high, early teens and all that, Reagan was awesome. I don't say that from a Republican Democrat standpoint. I got to tell you, the fact that you could have a president that could get up there and tell a damn joke and bring the Russian president over here, it was an amazing time. It was. And look, I'm not trying to, you know, I'm not one of those that...
Atari and technology and the games and all that. I mean, that was our era, right?
That was. It was a good era.
It was a good era.
we had the Dukes of Hazzard. Well, you know, towards the early 80s, but we had the Dukes of Hazzard. I mean, come on.
And we had ducks. I mean, Ducks Unlimited hadn't short-stopped all the ducks in Missouri and the northern latitude states. I mean, so all of you watching that are, you know, giving your money to Ducks Unlimited, continue to waste your money and hurt us here in Louisiana. That's another story. But
yeah, anyway, we're kind of getting off the rails a little bit. Let's try to circle back. I've got a couple of topics listed here. You mentioned earlier, the police jury and this Benton MPC. Now, doesn't MPC usually stand for like Metropolitan Planning Commission or something like that?
That's right. And
is Benton a you live up near Benton? Is Benton a metropolitan area?
Look,
or do they just want to be?
I don't live in Benton. I live outside of Benton, out here by the lakes, to where I have to watch if Robert Berry is trying to creep up on my house or something, and to see if I'm driving a nail that I shouldn't be driving or something like that. But I think maybe Robert Berry is too concerned about, you know, whether or not they close down at the appropriate time on Saturday night, and he's there early enough on Sunday morning to ensure that, you know, everybody's checked out and nobody's there to maybe see what's going on. But that's another story. So the Bossier Parish Police Jury. Here comes the rock, Bossier Parish Police Jury. So who that lives in North Bossier, let's say somewhere around Airline Drive, I don't know where Wes Shepard lives and how many people know Wes Shepard. I'm not saying anything negative about Wes Shepard. I know that, you know, he didn't win that police jury race, and he was a little, you know, miffed about it. Maybe my co-host here had something to do with that, but we won't go there.
Yeah. You know, there's always 20/20 hindsight, and in 20/20 hindsight, well, we'll just see how the next police jury race goes up there. We'll just put it that way.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. So anyway, Rex, the police jury put out their minutes for their meeting to be held. I think it's tomorrow. And in those minutes, you would be amazed to learn that they put that Wes Shepard was resigning from. They were going to vote on whether to accept the resignation of Wes Shepard from the Benton Metropolitan Planning Commission. And I think he lives in that corridor somewhere between Airline and Benton, north of 220 to the Benton city limits. I don't know exactly where he lives.
Well, that's interesting. I wonder what would happen while I'm trying to get their agenda and stuff pulled up on the screen because I'm ill prepared. But I wonder what would happen if they didn't accept it. What if they just didn't accept his resignation?
That would be shocking if they didn't accept his resignation. What I can tell you, Doug Rimmer in the past has said that, you know, had Robert Berry submitted his resignation, he would have accepted it. And then we went and found the audio where he actually seconded the motion to not accept his resignation.
Oh, so you mean Doug Rimmer was blowing smoke up everybody's rear end? I'm sorry.
Well, I don't know. Some people call that a lie, in other words, but we don't say that. I mean,
Well,
cockroaches don't say that. But, the interesting thing about this West Shepherd thing, the interesting thing is that they're also going to consider appointments at the very same meeting. So I may be wrong and I may have missed it, but I don't think there was any other announcement to, the 80 to 100 plus people. I can't tell exactly how many across all of our platforms, but the 80 to 100 plus people watching that live in Bossier. I'm wondering how many of you knew there was going to be a vacancy on the Metropolitan Planning Commission, and if you were interested in serving in any way. I mean, there's tons of y'all out there that are qualified. I mean, basically the thing about being qualified is that you have an interest in serving. But if you don't know that there is a place for you to serve because the police jury doesn't advertise it enough, if 1 day's notice or 24 hours notice or however long it has been since they put this notice out, if that quote unquote is enough notice, I mean, if y'all think that's right, then great. But I don't think that's enough.
well,
I think there should be a lot more consideration, Rex.
I don't really either, and we're going to see that at the city council meeting, that issue was actually or was talked about at the city council as well. But I agree with you that even though this is an appointment, and I guess they can appoint whoever they want, yeah, they need to advertise this a little more and not just appoint, their best friend's brother-in-law or whoever they do.
Well, what happened in Bossier City? What did Bossier City do? I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, one of our city councilmen actually made some comments to that point about appointments, and that maybe they should be advertised a little more. Maybe the public should have a little better notice, so that maybe somebody else that's interested, they can have I don't want to mince words, but maybe they should have a more diversified pool of people to consider.
Yeah. Well, that there is a ton of folks in Bossier City that love our city there and would be willing to serve, that will never get the opportunity because people in government there don't want outside opinions other than those on the inside. If the folks on the inside cared about the opinions of those in the public, they would foster the inclusion of people outside of their circle. The same goes for the police jury. This right here, this is an example of not actually truly wanting anybody, else to serve in here. They want to be able to put and cherry pick who they want in there. That's what this is about.
Yeah, it is, and unfortunately, a lot of government's that way. So then the question becomes, what can our viewers and followers out there do to help with that situation? And got any suggestions for them?
Yeah, watch our show because we're going to point it out.
Yeah, and share it out. You can also email your police juror, of course, email your city councilman, your government official, call them, text them. I don't know, run their name through the mud.
That was
whatever.
a selfless plug, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, we're not too shameless here, really. I guess we are pretty shameless, as a matter of fact. Now that I think about it, we've got our logo everywhere.
I was also, Rex, I was looking through this police jury agenda, and looks like there is something happening out at Cypress District. Did you know?
Oh no, I hadn't paid too close of attention to the Cypress District lately. Other than now, I am about to make a request for their December 2021 financials, which will include the year to date for 2021. They didn't have those ready and let me know that, and I said that's fine. So here in the next week or two, we'll kind of review those and see how they ended up. I got a question for everybody who lives around the Bossier area and is aware of the Cypress situation. Do you think that they actually broke even this year, or do you think they lost money, or do you think they were actually in the black overall this year?
Well, considering one of our previous guests on our show and, the lack of attendance to motorhome rentals out there, I would say
RV.
that I got a pretty good guess of where I'd place my bet on how the money is out there.
And we've heard some reports from folks that live around the lake that there really hadn't been that much RV traffic out there lately. Now, maybe it's, because we've actually had some cooler temperatures. I don't know. Maybe it's just because Robert Berry is trying to run everybody off. I don't know. Maybe our past guest was correct.
Well, again, we heard through the grapevine that, it might be a concerted attempt on behalf of the executive director and some wealthy business people to make the park go defunct so that it could be all divvied up among developers for residential construction.
Well, I'll just say...
In fact, look, Rex, I'm going to go out on a limb and say I've even heard rumor that Robert Berry's had an interest in property himself out there.
Really? Is he like trying to buy the park up or something?
I'm just telling you, I don't know. I'm just saying that's just what I heard.
Well, I think
going around the room.
I think he does own some property up around there in that area, or so I've heard. But, well, and look, in full disclosure, I've said it several times on this show already. I've said it to a bunch of people. Honestly, I'd be fine if they left the ramp open down there. Of course, that's a little interested because I bass fish, but I'd be fine if they left the ramp open down there and sold the lots off and turned it into a subdivision.
Now, wait a minute. I gotta stop you there. I live up here, and while, I would personally probably love to see the boat launches at Black Bayou closed so that there'd be less boat traffic. That would be selfish. So I can't agree to that. That's the first point. Second point is I want to point out that Jamie Marie Pope has made a showing on our show again.
Whoa. Hello.
Do you see that?
I see a couple of comments there. As a matter of fact, she was quoting the Judds earlier.
Go ahead. The infamous Jamie Marie Pope has showed back up from her long...
Infamous.
Yeah. And everybody watching, we're having a little fun. Jamie Marie Pope, she has helped us in the past and been a contributor. She follows and stays on top of a lot of things for us in South Louisiana and keeps us informed on what's going on. And we're glad to see Jamie tonight. She hadn't been around in a while, so we want to throw her a plug.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, I'm going to put her comment up earlier. She said, ask Winona Judd. She could tell you all about the good old days. So, trivia question, because I can't remember off the top of my head. Did Winona do that song after the Judds her and her mama kind of split up from singing and all that, or was that while they were still the Judds? I can't remember. Trivia question for everybody.
Yeah, well, the last thing I was pointing out, Rex, about the Cypress District, and I didn't completely go there and finish the thought, was that it looked like the parish and the police jury, they approved the sale of liquor for a sports spectrum event at the Cypress Park. I mean, look, they're promoting health and fitness.
Wait a minute. So this is completely, just news to me. Maybe it's...
You just had it. It was in the minutes. It's there. I forget what item number it is. It's after item number 5 or 6, but literally the Bossier Parish Police Jury approved the sale of liquor at the Cypress Park for a sports spectrum event, and that, as you all know, that's a health and fitness event. I mean, they finally got their priorities straight. I mean, look let's all start drinking to promote our health and fitness.
Aside from the fact that, well, I guess an argument could be made that drinking does help your fitness some. Here's the problem I have, is the hypocrisy of this. You can't go out there and... I can understand no glass bottles, no glasses, that sort of thing, but you can't go out there and drink a beer or get caught because that's a violation of the rules and you could be kicked out of the park or they'd probably call the sheriff's department or whatever. Anyway, but they can approve this for Sports Spectrum, and I have nothing against Sports Spectrum, and I have nothing against them selling beer at the triathlon, but this is picking and choosing.
Okay, wait a minute. Mark Smith has corrected us, and I don't know if I said it or you said it, but he says that is agenda, not minutes.
Oh, well, technically.
I don't know. I may be wrong. I'm not listening to myself.
Yeah,
I don't say it, or did you say it?
I don't have a rewind button until after we stop the show, and I'm not stopping the show, but good point there, mysterious Mark Smith. So yes,
Yeah, good point.
these are
The
the
agenda.
This is the agenda. All right.
I guess that means that. And look, I'm not saying that all these guys that are like can swim and run and bike and are like freaking race horses. I'm not saying they shouldn't have a drink. Good gosh, I salute them. I wish I could do what they're doing, but I'm fighting other things. I can't do that.
All right, so Kaylee Larkin has a comment here. So Kaylee, a little clarification. Kaylee says, "How does drinking work out on that lake, or are we not talking about that wreck?"
Ooh,
Which wreck is she
that's-
referring to? Or
Which
Kaylee,
wreck?
which wreck? I mean, I know it's a train wreck out there at the park. That's a whole other complete show topic, obviously. But what wreck are you referring to? Okay.
Is she talking about anything pertaining to cabins and sheriff's deputies and things in the past?
I don't know.
Oops. Did I? Oops, wait a
I'm
minute.
getting-
Did I say that?
I'm
Did
getting
I say that?
side-railed, and you're going to say something which is going to prompt me to say more, and it's a good
Okay,
thing
so we
I'm
better-
not actually drinking whiskey, because
Yeah.
then I'd be 7 foot tall and bulletproof, and I'm nowhere near 7 foot tall. All right, anyway.
No, yeah, and we've got people. Cindy Orgert says we drink all the time at Cypress Inn, and they we might better stop.
Yeah. All right.
But look, to the police jury's credit, there was some positive stuff.
Okay, so give me some
I know. I
positive.
see Kaylee Larkin. We're not going to go there because you and I cannot control ourselves on the Cypress district because there is
we
a
have
lot of.
lots we
got-
want to share, but we can't just yet. Let's put it that way.
So, Rex, hat tip to a police juror.
Which one was that?
So I don't know if earlier in the week or the week after, the police jury put out, they're always putting out this fun stuff. You'd think that they've got that girl from the school board, like always giving awards out. You would think they got her as doing all their posts for the police jury because they're always putting all these posts out. And I mean, that's good. It's informative. Maybe I'm criticizing. I don't know. No, I'm not criticizing. So there was this post where, a lot of you don't know, the Bossier Parish Police Jury, they hired these guys to be commercial motor vehicle enforcement guys, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I see them. They
and-
drive around their little vehicles and all that. Whatever.
Yep. Sometimes they're directing all the traffic, up there on 162, cut the bridge down in Cypress, and the police jury ain't got nothing to do with that, right? It's all in the state, right? Okay. So, everybody that travels up and down Benton Road, I mean, how many of you that are traveling up and down Benton Road, how many of you have gotten behind one of those sand boxes and got your vehicle sandblasted? I'm just wondering in the comments, all of you watching, there's 100+ people watching now. How many of you have gotten behind one of those trucks on Benton Road and they got all the sand and you can hear it hitting your car? Well, your car's getting sandblasted and your paint's not going to be as illustrious and shiny as it was before. And on this show, we have complained about it, the same as the traffic, and the people, and you pulled up that crap from the way about, the merging of traffic at the Benton High School or the middle school up there on Benton Road, Anyway.
The zipper method. Anyway.
The zipper method. That's it, right? Yeah, you had to go and read something somewhere. Anyway, but we're talking about sand, and we're talking about all those freaking box trucks, and they're primarily the Halliburton trucks because I haven't seen it on the Liberty trucks. I'm not saying it that the Liberty or Prop X doesn't have it, but it's the Halliburton trucks, and Halliburton, anyway.
Okay.
So the police jury, they go on there and they're giving props about how the heaviest weight, of a commercial motor thing has ever been done, permit has ever been issued in Bossier Parish, and they're pulling this big track hoe around Bossier, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I took the liberty of going on there because I have personally commented to the commercial motor vehicle guys as well as police jurors at the Bossier Parish Republican Executive Committee and complained about their lack of enforcement on the sandboxes that are dumping sand all up and down Benton Road, sandblasting all the cars, as well as with all the cars going down the road and all that sand's flying up in the air. Now, look, Rex, I'm an oil and gas guy. Own an
Right.
oil and gas service company. I go on well sites. Well, I mean, look, it is a big deal. Silicosis. You got to have the proper mask, all that crap because you can't breathe that stuff in. But yet it's okay on Bossier Parish roads for all that silica dust to be entrained to the citizens of Bossier and everybody flying down the road behind these trucks and all in there, to the residents right there on Benton Road that are getting it. I mean, I've complained for you, but it continues. And nothing's done about it. So I go on this post, right? And I say, if only we could get a police jury who I've complained to and the commercial motor vehicle guys to do something about it. One police juror responds to me.
Just one.
Just one. And which I got to tell you, I was impressed that one police juror even, that they even responded. And it was Juliana Parks, and
Wow.
a little bit of that. That's a little bit of a struggle for me to make a compliment, but she responded. But what she responded, and I would contend that she was wrong. She said, "That's not a parish road. That's a state road," and she was implying that they can't enforce on a state road. Well, that's bullcrap because when you're a law enforcement officer and you're issued a commission, your commission is not based off of certain roads. I mean, your
Right.
commission is statewide. A state law is a state law. And last I checked, unsecured load, which is when you're blasting sand off the top of your trucks on everybody's crap, that is an unsecured load. That's both a federal violation as well as a state violation, and it would put that truck out of service. Besides the fact that I see sheriff's deputies up and down Mint Road all the time pulling those freaking pulling freaking cars over and writing speeding tickets and writing all that stuff. So don't tell me you can't write that ticket. So I didn't think nothing else about it. I responded back basically that way, but nice, not like I just did then, but nice. And I got a phone call this week.
Wow. I'm impressed.
And I got a phone call from Juliana Parks, and she says, the parish administrator and the commercial motor vehicle enforcement group went to the sand plants, spoke to them about the problem, and they affirmed that there would no longer be any trucks leaving into the facilities, letting sand blow all over everybody's cars and exposing them to silica dust.
Bullshit. Do what?
I'm just telling you, that's what she said. Now,
Wow.
what are you laughing at? What are you laughing at?
Oh, just nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Okay.
That's
So
the dumbest
look,
thing I've ever heard. If not the dumbest, it ranks
What
up
else
there
are they gonna
relatively
do?
high. Well, they're not going to tell her, no, we're going to continue letting the sand spray all over everybody's cars and sandblast them. They're not going to say that. So, okay. Hey, at least she's trying.
And look, I didn't ask her to call me. She out of the blue called me, told me that they had took that action. They made a complaint to them. They said they were going to correct it. Now, I explained to her that it would be short term, that it wouldn't last, and that it would happen again. And here's what she said to me, and I want to spread this and tell this to everybody who's watching the show that experiences this. She said that if you see any trucks or that happens again, call the police jury or the sheriff's office and notify them and make a report because it's not supposed to happen.
Well, I wish I would have realized that. Maybe I should have paid attention to our notes, but I would have had the police jury. I wonder, do they have a number for their traffic enforcement division or whatever they call those guys?
I'm not going to go there, but
Anyway.
it ain't going to work. But the thing is, you guys, if you see it, make the call.
If you see something, say something.
Yeah. Anyway.
Look, I agree with you on the sand. I also agree with you that, we support oil and gas, hoorah, hoorah, and all that. But getting my truck and boat, and like David Johnson said, heck, even the boats sandblasted is not necessarily a pleasant thing.
Yeah, I even had somebody attack me on that or whatever and say, oh, it's just tax all the trucking companies out of the thing. I said, look, dude, I agree with you. I got a trucking company.
Yeah.
I do what you do. I haul sand. But you know what? In all the places in every part of the country that my company and we hauled sand, and me as well, I never disrespected the community and used their roads as the dumping ground for all that sand. I never did it. I've worked in West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, New Mexico, Texas, Colorado, Utah, Wyoming. I'm probably missing this. Arizona, and I never did that.
Well,
And-
our good friend David Jones has put the number up there, although I don't think this is the correct number of characters, but it's funny anyway. 1-800-I-HATE-SAND.
Yeah, David, go catch a bus on Sportran, okay?
Yeah, and don't y'all have some kind of cooperative endeavor agreement with the Red River Water Commission and the Bossier City Council y'all got to worry about? Oh, wait, that's in our city council segment. We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we see you too, Robert Wright, and we're going to say something too. As a matter of fact, I'm going to say something right now on the show to Robert Wright. You called me a couple of years ago and gave me a whole lot of grief over the Bossier Parish Republican Executive Committee, which is the official name by statute, by the way, and insisted that we call it the Bossier Republican Party. Yet the last couple of posts you've made, you have posted it as the Bossier Parish Republican Executive Committee. You can't have it both ways, Robert Wright. Robert H. Wright. Make up your mind. You have an identity crisis worse than Duke and I do with Bossier Watch and Louisiana Watch.
But he's on the radio every morning and he's got a big following.
Oh, I shouldn't have made. Gosh, I wasn't thinking about that. Tell Aaron I'm sorry. Just kidding. Just kidding with you, Robert. All right.
Love you, Robert.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, moving on because we're kind of sidetracking around here. So all right. What? Anything else with the police jury, or are they just up there doing their police jury thing? Okay.
I'm done. I got the beatings out of it. The rest of it is just boring stuff that none of y'all would want to care about, and you'd stop watching and stop listening. Is it things you should pay attention to? Yeah, they're spending money, but you don't want to hear about that. So you want to hear about the meaty stuff like King David and the Bossier Parish School Board and things like that. Open meeting law violations.
Yeah, and speaking of those open meeting law violations, let me see if I can get this video queued up here in just a second. We'll go through that. I'm not going to spend a tremendous amount of time on it, but let's see if I can get our screen going here like we
So what about open meeting law? So you wanted to do a little sharing about open meeting laws and point out some things to folks.
Well, yeah, and I didn't want to be the one to point them out. I wanted to let, somebody else point them out. So this is a video put out in 2018 by Tulane University and their law department or whatever. And as far as I can remember, this lady was a former city attorney for like New Orleans, or maybe it was Baton Rouge or something. Anyway, and so they're addressing some incoming city council people who are in the audience. They've not yet been sworn in or anything, so this isn't considered a public meeting. But I wanted to review some of the information in this video to help our viewers out understand a little better how open meetings work and these walking quorums. You've heard us talk about them before. And I want to use this to reemphasize that it's not, I'm not just kind of making this stuff up. This is legitimate stuff here. So let me get this thing queued up and kind of going here. Let me widen this video out and make it look nice and neat here. So we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on it because this is like a 40-minute video, but we're going to hit just at, a few of the highlights or whatever. So bear with me, and here we go. So this is talking about, does a committee constitute a quorum? All right, so let's hit play.
A committee?
A committee, yes, sir.
Are you meaning like a Republican Executive Committee, or are you meaning like the Civil Service Board? Or
look, it's like any committee or subcommittee of these bodies, as enumerated in this paragraph. You can see on her screen back there, and that's Revised Statute 4213A2. I've always argued that the Republican Executive Committee, because it is enabled by statute, all right, it's technically an elected position, that it is a public meetings. That's always been my argument. Besides that, why would the Republican committee in any parish want to hide what they were talking about? But let's listen to what she says about committees and quorums and that sort of thing.
The question that I got a lot when I was city attorney was, when new council members and elections happened, how do we set up our committee structure so that we are able to do open meetings properly, but also able to talk to our colleagues on issues? So if you have a committee of 3, 2 of you in a room that's going to constitute quorum of the committee, right? So it sort of hampers your ability to talk to your colleagues. So that's something that you all are going to need to consider as you are coming into this new space and committees are being formed.
What would be the implications of a committee of 4?
So a committee of 4, so you've got a simple majority. Well, two would be right. 2 would be fine. So I think the council does 5
let me
members
see if I
now
can
for
hear
a
that.
committee.
Barry Butler just said
and so
no
you would
sound.
need 3 people to constitute that quorum. So 2 would be fine if you've got 4, but all of those
All right, let me
issues
pause
and
it
trying to
there.
navigate.
So, Duke, can you hear that? Could you hear that video?
Yes, I could hear it loud and clear.
Okay, so let me see here, because Barry reported no audio to that. So basically what she was talking about is that if it's a committee, a subcommittee, then, okay, thanks guys for letting me know that. Then that would actually, you can have a quorum or a walking quorum for a committee or subcommittee as well. So you have to be very, very careful with that, because the law is specific about it. It does include committees or subcommittees. All right. And so I'm going to fast forward a little bit. So I'm at about the 15-minute mark in this video. We'll post a link. It's on YouTube. We'll post a link to the video after the show. But this is talking about what technologies or what types of communications does the open meetings law apply to?
Going to get to some of that. The open meetings law applies to all forms of communication. You can't use any sort of device or methodology to circumvent the open meetings law. So I'm going to talk a little bit about email, text messages, phone. There's no proxy voting and things of that nature. So it's all intended to be consistent with that constitutional provision that David just read out, public and open discourse and the public's access to policy making. So phone also is an issue.
Okay, so that's important, because you've heard us say it before, and as a matter of fact, if y'all remember months ago, we had an issue with the Bossier City Council doing walking quorums via email and texting, and we called them out on that, and hopefully they've made the correct policy changes on that. So, let's see. Dawn's got a comment real quick. Let me kind of sidetrack here for a second. So Dawn Thomas says, explain how RPEC is elected and why they believe they're exempt from these laws. I'm confused. All right, so let me be clear, Dawn. I'm telling you from experience as a member of the Bossier Parish Republican Executive Committee that we did have, and actually I got in a couple of arguments with a couple of committee members over whether or not the meetings that we had were public. Now, I got to say the vast majority of us on the committee felt that the meetings should be public, or we should at least invite the public, and we did. Now, the RPEC members and the Democratic PEC members are elected, I believe it's every 4 years, Duke, during the presidential primaries?
Yes.
If I remember correctly. Okay. And so you will see them on the ballot basically every 4 years. Okay. So, but anyway, just kind of reviewing, so you have to remember that you can have a walking quorum through electronic means as well. It doesn't just have to be a face-to-face type meeting, but the key here is what she has on her screen behind her, that no vote or action can be taken, no formal or informal polling of members, and they'll talk some more about that. So let me fast forward here.
And let me point out that I am in trouble.
Uh-oh.
Because I am eating crackers while we're doing this show.
Probably driving my wife insane, I'm sure.
Your wife? No, my wife. Your wife gets mad too about me eating crackers on the show?
Well, anybody. She has this thing that she likes to eat chips, chips and salsa and all that every now and then. I love to eat chips. Like, I eat bags of chips at a time. But she can't stand hearing somebody else eat them. It's the crunch thing.
Have the over 100 plus people watching our show tonight, do they not realize that we don't say that we're professional journalists? We're citizen journalists. That makes us amateur. We're amateurs. And the city of Bossier doesn't even give us any credit.
I put it loud and clear on our website, BossierWatch.org, by the way. I've just got through revamping and adding some things to it, by the way. But I put it pretty clear on there. We are amateur citizen journalists, pundits, as a matter of fact.
Wait a minute. Cassie Rogers says, me too. I can't stand to hear people eat. I don't know if they can hear me eating these crackers, but I think it's a badge of honor that we're quote unquote citizen journalists that eat a cracker during the middle of our show.
Well, the beauty of this is we make our own rules as we go. Our show, our rules. However, I must say, happy wife, happy life.
But admittedly, there is some pleasure knowing that I can get under the skin of my wife just by eating a cracker. What does that tell you?
When I see the skillet coming for the back of your head, I will try to warn you before it smacks you in the back of the head.
She tells me all the time she's got too much invested in me. Maybe her psychology is not working the way it's supposed to work.
Maybe not. And by the way, she just says, and well, I would tend to agree, citizen journalists should still have manners. Here comes the skillet. Get ready. All right.
Yeah,
so back to our walking quorums. All right. So here we go.
Dealing with a specific point. So if we're all together at the Saints game, that's not a violation, right?
So this is an exception that you're speaking of. The exception for chance meetings or social gatherings, and this is set forth in the statute. So if you're not taking a vote or you're not taking any action for which you have any authority that's under your jurisdiction, as the law says, and you're not doing an informal or polling of members, because that's an issue too. That's what they sometimes call a walking quorum, whenever you're kind of walking around at a social gathering trying to ask your colleagues how they're going to vote on an issue. That becomes an issue. But a social gathering, chance meeting, where you're not deliberating or taking any action on anything, you're fine. And there's an Attorney General opinion, and if you want to write this down for your reference, Attorney General Opinion 10-0121, where the council actually sought an Attorney General opinion on this very issue. And the Attorney General said, if a majority of the council or a committee meet by chance or gather at a social function and do not deliberate, act, or receive information concerning a matter over which the council or that committee has supervision, control, jurisdiction, or advisory power, such a gathering is not subject to the open meeting law.
Aha. And why is that important and relevant to our show tonight? Do you have any idea, Mr. Lowry?
I don't know, enlighten me, but for some reason, Little Italiano just keeps sticking in my mind for some reason, but that's probably off tack.
All right, so let me see if I can give me just a second here. So what I'm going to do, and it's interesting that our, virtual friend Mark Smith is watching tonight, because, let me get this screen pulled up here. Give me just a second again. Because Councilman...
Yes, Anthony Hahn, I get bent about a box of crackers, of course. All right, go ahead, Rex.
Okay, so Councilman Chris Smith made a post yesterday, and he's got a nice little picture. They were all down at the new Tinsley Park, and looky there. Looks like we're pretty close to have a quorum there at the park, close to it anyway. And so, he made the nice little post. And, hey, I drove by Tinsley Park, and it looks nice. Of course, it's a public park, but I couldn't get in there because all the gates were locked, and apparently you can't just drive in there when you want. That's a whole other issue. But anyway, so down here in the comments somewhere, there it is. Down here at the bottom, you can see Mark Smith tagged Bossier Watch, and said walking quorum. So I just wanted to point out that I replied... that as long as no formal or informal polling of members took place, then they're good to go. So as long as they didn't talk about any city council type stuff that they might have to make a decision on, that they can go out there and make pictures at Mayor Chandler's Tinsley Park if they want to.
Well, now that you say that, I mean, it did not even cross my mind. But that nice new park, I mean, look, Rex, we ought to put a Bossier Watch team and go out there and play ball at this new park.
Let's do a wiffle ball tournament.
We could do a wiffle ball tournament. You and I, we could put a team together and we could go do practices out there. And wait a minute.
What's the matter?
I mean, wait a minute. Is this where did I hear a problem about this?
Well, I don't know. I mean, the gates were locked today. Maybe they hadn't really officially opened it to the public yet.
Well, wait a minute. Is it open to the public?
It's clearly says on the signs, public park.
Yeah, but can the public actually go and rent this and use this and do it?
Well, I would assume so. Literally, it's paid for by tax dollars. I mean, surely they're supporting it maybe with concessions or something like that. But surely you can just schedule and go out there and play ball. We could have the greatest wiffle ball game ever.
Well, come to think of it, I heard some rumors. I even heard something from some guy with some sports agency about, sponsorship and stuff, about how they were turned away. And, I'm going to have to follow up on that. But for some reason, I'm starting to think that maybe the public's not invited. The taxpayers.
It can't be. They've got plenty of fields out there, plenty of room.
Yeah, but you got to be special. And Rex, you're not special and I'm not special. And our show is certainly not special. There ain't no way they would let us come out there and play wiffle ball.
Maybe if we videoed it. What if we did a live remote show from
Tinsley
Tinsley Field? Again, the greatest wiffle ball game ever.
If we can't even get permission to go out there, that's what we got to do. How many people watching want to come out and watch a Bossier Watch wiffle ball game? I mean, we'll put a team together and somebody else put a team together and we'll all go to Tinsley, rent the new AstroTurf field and play wiffle ball. What do y'all think?
Yeah, who would show up to come watch the wiffle ball game or actually participate and be on one of our wiffle ball teams?
Yeah, I mean, because obviously me and you, I don't know what we would do. We would probably talk a lot, but we would somehow or another be on the team. Maybe we'd be in the outfield.
Yeah. Oh, Barry Butler says we could play kickball. Yeah, they got plenty of room out there. We could get a good kickball game going as well. Everybody loves kickball. We could play dodgeball. Greatest dodgeball event ever at Tinsley Field.
Okay, so tomorrow we're going to see if we can rent the field to go play wiffle ball, right?
Yeah, we're going to check into it.
And if we're successful, somebody is going, anybody watching, y'all are going to have to recruit and put together an opposing team to come play us for wiffle ball.
Yeah. I haven't played wiffle ball in a long, long time, but one of my favorite games as a kid.
So obviously by seeing that picture, you saw the post that, of the grand opening or whatever you want to call it. But rumor has it that, you know how when you're a politician, you got to have a plaque with your name on it, right? You know
right.
that. That's a rule. If you're elected to office and you're a politician, you got to...
Thanks to the dedication and service of Mayor Tommy Chandler.
No, I'm not bashing on Tommy Chandler yet.
I was complimenting in my new spirit of positivity.
Yeah, but this is going to be a long show. We got plenty of bashing of Tommy Chandler, and you can't take all the bashing. Maybe you're trying to get ahead on me. Maybe that's what it is, because you already know.
I want to point out that Dennis Flowers says, I'll play dodgeball if I can play on the opposite side as Duke. We should invite Tommy Chandler and Brian Hammonds and Chris. Heck, we'll invite David Montgomery to our combination wiffle ball dodgeball game.
I am down with that, Dennis. I love some dodgeball. Holy crap. He just brought out a memory from way back. Y'all remember that junior high? They would line us. Did you do that, Rex? I mean, you're for wrestling. Y'all may not have balls. I don't know. But over here, we would all line up on either end of the gym. I mean, it was like bash everybody.
Oh,
that's right. Subject change. You don't get to respond.
La, 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 la. I'm going to bite my tongue. And I'm going to be thankful this is sweet tea and not Crown and Dew. Otherwise, otherwise we would have to change the rating of this show.
Probably so.
All right. Back to the subject. We keep going off on these little squirrel chases here.
And for everybody that's watching and are concerned about the welfare of me, I am down to my last cracker because my lovely wife just took away my crackers.
Oh, well, crackers are a little quieter than chips are. And I have to acknowledge this. So, Mysterious Mark Smith commented and wanted to know if those were Shane's fries. Did you have any Shane's
fries?
Yeah.
Shane's fries? I don't get. Oh, he's going on Shane, and
he's trying to goad us into mentioning that. We might mention that on Louisiana Watch, maybe. I don't know.
I tell you what, Mark Smith, you can come to the Bossier Parish Republican Executive Committee meeting, and we will be at Shane's.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. Y'all have those meetings at Shane's. We always have them up in Benton.
They were always at another place. They wasn't at Shane's, but for some reason, since the hostile takeover, they're always at Shane's now. But, you got to think, there's a lot of things that happen at Shane's. Mike Johnson, he always has all of his stuff at Shane's, Raymond Cruz always has his stuff. There's some common denominators there. There's a lot of the same people that are always hell-bent on having all their things always at Shane's. Now that he brings it up, wasn't planning on going there, but he brought it up.
Well, and look, I've eaten at Shane's plenty of times. Do I think it's the greatest seafood in the world? No. Is it okay? Yeah, we had a bass club meeting there the other day. So,
to Shane's credit, he donates the room. I don't think he charges. I don't know. I've never asked. I've never checked. But in fact, I haven't even checked campaign finance donations to see if it was claimed by Mike Johnson, Raymond Cruz, and any of them other, Doug Rimmer. I've never checked. Allie Feaster Smith. Are there? Well, wait a minute. She hadn't run for anything.
Well, I don't want to go. I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole. But Kaylee Larkin said, "Please wear a Pepitos and Company shirt." Now, Kaylee, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Shane like an owner or even maybe majority owner in Pepitos? It'd be like advertising for the same thing. But that's a real rabbit hole. We'll save that for another show. If you don't know what we're talking about, just go to Facebook and search for Shane's.
Yeah, we weren't going to go off on there. Mark Smith, that's all you're going to get out of us.
Yep,
we're not going down that hole.
We're bouncing out of that rabbit hole.
But Bossier Parish School Board. So everybody that knows teachers and school board members and the superintendent and the governor's lackey, the attorney that represents the majority of all the school boards in the state of Louisiana, John Geis, and his law firm. Perhaps you tag them all now because we're going to talk about them. Yes, Bossier City, we're holding you in the wings. Y'all stand by. We're going to get to you, promise. Bossier Parish School Board, Rex. Mm-hmm. You remember last show? Remember they had a meeting and we went. Remember all that?
Yeah, I do, and we had a little bit of controversy, sort of there. So, what's new with the school board?
Now, I have had, a revelation since we had our last show, Rex.
Okay, this sounds dangerous, but I'll play along. So go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, that revelation
I have to play along. We're both on the show, so yeah, go ahead.
But that revelation is that we have some school board members that can't read.
What?
I'm telling you, that's got to be the only explanation is that we've got some school board members that can't read. That's the only explanation.
Well, I have to say, unfortunately, I probably agree with you, but so how did you determine that they can't read?
Well,
other than they can't read the signs of the people in the back of the room at the meetings about COVID and all that sort of thing. But how did you determine that?
Let me retract that a little bit because that's not entirely accurate. There are some things that they can read.
Oh.
But there are limitations to what they can read.
Okay.
Now I don't know if all of you are watching and you're going to tag the school board people, but we're going to be talking about COVID. We're going to be talking about masks. We're going to be talking about quarantining. We're going to be talking about all those things. Well, maybe not all of them, but we're going to delve into that. And that's what it all revolves around. But the school board, apparently, they can't read, but there are some things that they can read. And it would appear that the only things that they can read is information that the governor's attorney and that the superintendent who duck hunts with supplies to them, or the governor's office of Homeland Security, GOSEP. Those are the only things that they can apparently read.
Well, you know, of course, I didn't go to Bossier schools, full disclosure. I spent part of my childhood in Haynesville, part of my childhood in Monroe, and then the rest of it in Lincoln Parish and Ruston. And hey, I enjoyed going to Ruston High and Ruston Junior High and all that. So I learned a lot, had some great teachers, and they always taught me, or maybe I taught myself, but anyway, to, you know, use multiple sources, especially when we were doing research papers and things like that. You always had to use multiple sources and cite your sources. So you're telling me over here in Bossier, they don't practice what they should be preaching, which is use multiple sources?
Well, I think it's more than just them. I'm not going to just put it off on them. I think it's a freaking lot of people across the whole state. In fact, across the whole country. But it goes back to Merle Haggard. Are we rolling downhill like a snowflake in hell? I mean, but yeah, I think we are. But I mean, look, they can only read one thing. And if it comes from the governor, that's the only damn thing they can read. And you've got GOSEP and DHH sending all this crap out, and that's the only thing that they seem to be able to hear, understand, read. They can't read anything else. They're incapable of reading. So obviously, I got to be careful here because I mean, look, there's a lot of teachers I love, and I got to be careful here. But I mean, look, Rex, you know, and I know, there's no way that the governor would hide information from the public, especially when it comes to life and death issues, when it comes to state government, right? Don't you agree?
Yeah, of course not. So, what have they not been reading? If I can actually get words out this evening, what have they not been reading or studying?
Well, it just so happens that I came across this interesting article, and there's a link I've already gotten in our notes, you know, from the Washington Times of all places.
Okay.
And I think you've already got it up.
Why, looky there, the magic of technology.
How about that? You know, some of our viewers, they sent us some information, and they watched our show last week, and they said, you know, obviously your school board members have not been paying attention to the most updated information. They're content, and I could name some of the names, but you know who you are. And, you know, we've said it in previous shows. Their only interest is in dollars. Their interest isn't in what's best for the kids or what's best for the community, because if they were and they truly understood the issue and were reading and or could read, they would have, you know, taken a more proactive role and educated themselves on the whole issue as a whole. And they're not doing that. So we get this article sent to us, Washington Times, right?
Right. And the headline says, the headline says, for those of you listening, not watching the video, the headline says lockdowns had little or no impact on COVID-19 deaths, new study shows. Okay, so give us kind of the summary version, dude.
Well, here's the thing. So I'm wondering, does everybody, y'all watching, do you just read some article and you just take it for face value? Do you do that? I mean, because if it's on the internet, you know, it's got to be real, right?
Yeah, it must be true. Somebody took the time to type it up.
Yeah, somebody did, but that doesn't mean, I mean, it's like journalism. They say that we lie. They say that we don't tell the truth. They say that we're fake news, right?
Well, here's what I do. Again, going back to my rule of multiple sources and reading that and then trying to make up your own mind as to where the truth actually lies, which is usually somewhere in the middle. But I always try to look for the sources in these articles and who for instance, this article, who they use for their sources, and how reputable do I consider those sources versus other sources. So that's kind of my way I do my litmus test.
Yeah, that's right. So we did a little bit further background, on this deal. And apparently, this Washington Times article was actually citing a study done by Johns Hopkins.
Oh, now
I mean,
I've heard that name
have
plenty
you
of
heard of
times.
that? Johns
Yeah.
Hopkins University? I mean, like, I've heard that. I mean, didn't even, what's that dude? Red Duke. Remember that growing up? That
Yeah.
doctor over in Texas, Dr. Red Duke, he always cited them.
Right.
And so we went and looked up the John Hopkins study. I mean, and I got the link in the notes, and you can share it and show. I mean, it's freaking detailed.
Yeah, it's 62 pages, so we'll share a link to that, after the show or whatever. But
to summarize what these cats did, these cats went and took all of the studies. I mean, and if I recall correctly, and in one of the cuts I've got it, but they basically went and took like over, I don't remember the number, 2,000, 20,000, something like that, all of the studies done on COVID and all that stuff, and they sorted through all of the studies, all the science, all the data, did their own study, and they come to the conclusion that basically all of the actions took by government bodies at this point, with the lockdowns and the quarantining and the crap like what the school board is doing, and they determined that, at the end of the day, all of those actions have contributed more to people dying than the actual COVID mortality on its own.
yeah, and
Those
so here,
actions were worse than the COVID itself.
yeah, and so the numbers are right here. I got that screenshot pulled up. 18,590 studies. After 3 levels of screening, 34 studies ultimately qualified out of those. Out of those 34, 24 qualified for inclusion in the meta-analysis, blah, blah, blah. And so they go over their methodology for this. So, and this is Johns Hopkins University did this study, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
And that seems pretty interesting that there were 18,590 studies, and they sorted through all of those studies, and they ended up only coming to the conclusion that 24 of the studies had enough science and basis to be included to make a determination on morbidity and whether or not that you had a greater risk of dying as a result of the virus, because and they gave a list. I think in one of these other cuts, I have it, maybe it was cut 2.
Yeah, let me see.
They basically cited the fact that all of these other studies, what they exempted, obviously it wasn't cuts 2.
It wasn't cut 2.
They exempted all of these things. It's mind-boggling. So as a service to our school board, we're providing this study because it directly points to, kind of what you're talking about. And again, here, one of our viewers sent us this. Now, I want you to look at this statistic right here. Look at the mortality in kids aged 13 to 18, and which one is greater, which one increased the most, and which one had the most effect on kids in that age range.
Very interesting. And just to be clear, folks, so the dark blue would be respiratory disease deaths, including COVID for 2020, but the chart's going back to 2008. And it kind of goes back to what I always say, the math doesn't lie. And, well, when you plot the math into a graph, it really gives you a good visual reference of what that actually means.
So at that last school board meeting, you had school board members that were saying, basically, I wasn't going to be a part of no killing of kids by ignoring the science. Well, I got news for you, school board members. Here's your freaking science. And I'm just wondering, are you going to ignore it? Are you going to continue to do what will result in more deaths of kids in this age range or are you going to continue to carry your party line or whatever the hell it is you're trying to carry? Obviously, it's the water of the governor, and that's your only interest. And if you say otherwise, you're a freaking hypocrite.
Well, I would make the argument that the new Transformer variant is ramping up and accelerating us towards, let's just loosely call it herd immunity. And that combined with the folks who have opted for the vaccine, and I know that people with the vaccine still test positive, die from COVID. I know all that, folks, so don't send the hate comments. But I would say that the vaccine combined with the Transformer variant, what is it called? Omicron? Whatever. Anyway, sounds like a Transformer movie. Anyway, that combined together is going to help pull us out of the pandemic, and then it'll just become endemic like every other disease since the history of man, and we'll all end up fine.
Well, any of your board members that continue to want to continue to carry the weight of the governor, who, newsflash, if everybody hasn't been watching the news, the governor will hide information from the public.
Well, he only hides it if it benefits him.
Yeah, well,
like most politicians.
That's right. And to keep all of you deaf, dumb, and stupid on the mortality of COVID versus locking your ass down and keeping you hid away and locking your kids away and preventing them from getting an education, you make them more dependent on the government, which emboldens one people's political philosophy. And if y'all can't understand that, you ain't never going to freaking get it.
I would tend to agree with that. It's sensationalism.
I'm just getting warmed up for Bossier City. I'm just getting warmed up for Bossier City. The return of the king. And I ain't even got the school board getting me wound up.
Okay, so let's see. Oh, The Return of the King, which sounds like a Tolkien book and movie. So what's going on with the city council? I thought, I kind of only half listened to the city council meeting. They do stream it live on the YouTube channel for everybody that doesn't already know that, about 3 o'clock on, what is it, the first and third Tuesday? I don't even know what days they do it. But anyway, so they do stream it for those of you that want to watch. But I thought it was just going to be, kind of a laid back, easygoing meeting. The only thing I saw was this $50,000 cooperative endeavor deal to figure out that the Red River has lots of red mud and sandbars in it.
Look, I thought all it was going to be was just some simple, quiet meeting. I looked at the agenda as well, and I thought, you know what? Hey, this is going to be boring. I'm not even going to watch it. I'm going to just hear about the armchair quarterbacking from people that send us messages, and, we'll go from there. Right. And apparently, we have bored some people. I don't know. We've dropped from 100 to 80. I mean, maybe they don't care about the school board. Maybe they do. But I got to tell you, your school board members aren't listening. That's news. I'm telling you.
Number's been fluctuating a little bit. Maybe a couple of people went to go grab some dinner, and they'll be right back. Who knows?
Yeah, but King David did return today. I don't know. I had a little bit of time, and I followed up on the council meeting and listened to some of the words. And I got to tell you, I was shocked. There were some fireworks. I mean, arguably, we may have had some of the best entertainment out of the city of Bossier City today that we may see all year, because I really think that up to this point, they have been trying to circle the wagons and, just make things come across as smooth, no dissension, and everything's all good. And today I would argue that, I don't know, there was a little dissension there.
Really? Well, okay, so I've got the video queued up, and I probably don't even have it at the right spot at the moment. Ruttenbuck's standing there. So do we want to back up and actually, so I would like to point one thing out. Not only did King David, boy, he looks so entertained. Just so y'all know, King David's the one over there on the right. But he looks so, I don't know.
Well, before
so enthused, I'm trying to come up with a word.
He's always so animated. I mean, look, I love him as a politician, man, because he's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yes, he does.
But he was not the only one given. While we're saying the return of the king, I mean, he did return and he did have some commentary that you guys are going to absolutely love. There was some other stuff. I mean, in
Yeah.
fact, Bossier
Well,
City had the sign from hell today. Did you know that?
Well, I tell you what was surprising to me was that apparently our city attorney has decided to actually read a contract. We made fun of him for that.
Do tell. Oh, do tell.
Yeah, so all right, I'm going to cue us up to that point. I think we should be there right now. So let's play that and hear the audio. Let's see here.
Remove number 3 under new business, the Red River navigation study. And they need to look at the contract a little bit more. I think there were some revisions made to it, and they've asked us to remove it at this time.
That is correct, Mr. President.
Oh, so that would be Charles Jacobs.
Proposed joint cooperative endeavor agreement between the city, the parish, the commission, the Army Corps of Engineers, and several other entities. The proposed cost to the city of Bossier has not changed, but some of the provisions in the proposed contract have changed, and I need to sort of go through those with a fine-tooth comb before I present it to the council for.
Wow. Did you hear that? He's going to go through a contract with a fine-tooth comb. Duke, we are having an influence. We are making a difference in this town with our politicians. He is now reading contracts. We only had to say it 40 times.
Are you telling me that if I sent him a request to read the Manshack contract and tell me if they are responsible for the Walter O. Bigby Carriageway Part 1, 2, 3, or do, and whose errors and omission the dropping the ball on Shed Road would fall under, you're telling me that he would read it?
I'm telling you he would read it. I'm not saying he would actually fulfill the request, but at least he would read it now. Baby steps, Duke. Baby steps.
I mean,
we're dealing with children here.
Is there anybody in Bossier City that would actually read it? I mean, does anybody in Bossier City read anything? He's saying he's going to read something. I don't think anybody in Bossier City reads any damn thing.
Well, I would argue some of them do read stuff. They just don't do anything about it. That's the problem.
Well, no, I can prove that people don't read. I mean, as recent as today, I can give evidence that people don't read. Not even people who have a higher education level than me. I mean, look, I may be a Rhodes Scholar of Stupidville, but I do get out of the office every now and then. And I can tell you that people with education, there's a lot of them that don't read. I ain't got nothing against educated people. I mean, look, I got an associate degree. That doesn't make me smart. I'm not. I mean, but what I'm telling you is there is a lot of people that don't read.
Well, okay. So let's, speaking of reading, yes. Yes, so you can click along too and jump us to the point. I have it in live review, so this is going to be interesting.
Okay. Now, this gives me pain. It does, Rex. I mean, look, Tommy has been a friend of mine for a lot of years. He's been a friend of mine. He may not be, and I've said this in previous show, he might be, because I'm giving him hell. I'm criticizing him, and I'm going to continue to criticize him. And if I ever do this, Rex, by all means, bash me as long as you can bash me.
Well, hey, you got a pretty good bashing not even 20 minutes ago over chips.
You beat me to hell and back, okay? Because I deserve it. But I'm just saying right here, to everybody watching, to the 80 plus people or however many of you are out there, I don't know, and however many of you share and you send a message, I want you to pay attention right here. And this is important, and this goes to the bottom line. If you want to run for office and you want to represent the citizens of somewhere, and especially if you want to run in a city that is home to the largest bomber base in the world, okay? With the second longest runway in the world, second only to a damn salt desert in Nevada, I think, or Arizona, or wherever it is, I think you would take the time to read the words and be able to articulate something clearly. And to not take the time to read it and be able to articulate clearly, it makes a statement. It's embarrassing, and it says that you don't care. It says that that's not your priority. It says that you don't care. And it's insulting. And I'm just going to play it. And for those of you watching, you tell me what you think. Maybe I'm wrong, and I'll take it. If you think I'm wrong, by all means, you tell me and say that I'm wrong.
Fire in the hole.
I would like to introduce Colonel Mark Demetrison. He's the commander of the 2nd Bomb Wing, Barstow Air Force Base, Louisiana. He is responsible for providing combat-ready BFH aircraft crews and associated combat support to conduct.
Did you hear all that?
Yeah, he should look. And all right, so I'll play devil's advocate in my new spirit of positivity. Okay, everybody makes a flub every now and then. He should have had the respect for the Barksdale guy to pause, back up, and get the title right.
I mean, look, he's freaking been here in Bossier as long as I have. And there's no excuse for screwing up 8th Air Force 2nd Bomb Wing. Right. To me, it's disrespect for you to say as such. Right. I mean, come on. You're the mayor of freaking Bossier City. Could you not take 5 or 10 minutes if you're going to get to the mic and you're going to speak to recognize, and that you couldn't articulate that? You didn't take the time to enunciate it, practice it, to give the speech. You didn't care enough to take the time to do that?
Yeah. Or again, even to pause, back up, get it right. And I hate to say this, so quit gloating, Mark Smith. But Mark Smith says, called it from the beginning, amateur. So before we continue on, Duke, I would like to say that I actually did have high hopes for Tommy. Again, he's a nice guy. And I actually wanted an amateur, not a professional, silvery-tongued Mike Johnson wannabe in office. All right? There's a problem on the other extreme, too. But, yeah, this is getting ridiculous. So, all right, mysterious Mark Smith, I'll give you a little credit. You did call that one. All right. Moving on.
Yeah, I'll give him credit as well. But look, Mark Smith, you know us, and the reality is we know you. And here's the bottom line. You and I both know that Tommy Chandler should not be up there speaking. And why is it that his handlers, Jacobs and Richard Ray, are marching him out there to speak when they should be, George dementing him?
Well,
why?
Newsflash to Amanda Nottingham. As CAO, here's a good task for you. I don't expect Tommy Chandler to be the most polished speaker in the world. Again, the opposite end of the spectrum would be silvery-tongued Mike Johnson. But he needs to be somewhere in the middle, and people would connect with that, and we wouldn't be having this conversation on this show right now. If he got up there and was introducing you, Duke, or me, who cares if he flubs, our names or whatever. But this is a little different. This guy's from Barksdale. All right, anyway.
If you're going to put him up there, at least make him study the notes and make him be able to articulate it to where he doesn't, screw up. I mean, I don't know how more to say it. And the truth of the matter is he'll probably post some picture on his page with him and the base commander, and he'll get 200 likes on his Facebook page. Right. That, and I don't know, maybe they don't watch the show. Maybe they don't even listen to what he said. But shouldn't those 200 plus people or whatever that likes his page, shouldn't they expect him to be able to study and articulate and be able to pronounce the words correctly to not make us look bad? I mean, I love Tommy to death. I'll do anything for him, but that freaking crap has got to stop.
I agree 100%. In the new spirit of positivity, Amanda, get Tommy in front of a mirror and practice. Okay, here we go. So moving forward through the meeting, so we're just building up to the good stuff here, folks.
Oh, we're building up to the good stuff. But, so here's the thing. The the stop sign from hell. Did you know that Bossier City had the stop sign from hell today?
No, I didn't, or I would have paid much closer attention to this meeting when it was live. Again, I thought this was just going to be, the humdrum, a little bit of boring, a little bit of rut and buck meeting, and King David was going to sit there and be quiet and blah, blah, blah. But as it turns out, there was a little more to it, right?
Well, who knew that a stop sign would be the highlight of this meeting? And I hate to break it to everybody, the return of King David. Don't get me wrong, you're going to want to hear this but you're not going to be surprised by that. But what you are going to be surprised about is the stop sign from hell in Bossier City. Who knew that you would suddenly have a mayor in Bossier City about a stop sign in Bossier City? Who knew that would be a priority?
And as we're going to see here in just a second, apparently this is going to be a fairly expensive stop sign. And not on the part of necessarily of the councilman who requested the stop sign.
So people are scratching their heads saying, what the
hell are y'all talking about?
Yeah. Why would I care about some stop sign in Bossier City? That's the stupidest thing. I'm not watching this show. That is the boringest crap, talking about a freaking stop sign. I go to stop signs all the time. It's boring. I stop and I go. What could be the big deal about it? Let's play it and let's just see what they say.
Hit it. You got it, or you want me to hit play?
Introduce an ordinance to establish a four-way stop at the intersection of Sunflower Road and Rosemont Place. First reading.
So move.
Second.
Council, any questions? Any questions from the audience? Yes, sir.
David Jones, I'd like to point out they did use cops in this too. Just hold on to your horses.
Yes, sir. Council, my name's Steve Payne.
Jump ahead real quick.
Okay.
All right. So where the stop sign is, so everybody knows, Sunflower and Rosemont down in South Bossier. And that's not necessarily earth-shattering. That's not no big deal. I mean, there's people in the city. You complain or it's not necessarily in the city. It don't matter where you're at. Look, Rex, just pause for a second. Literally, I had somebody from Oklahoma, and we're talking about Oklahoma up in the Panhandle. And I know your wife's from Oklahoma and you're well acquainted with Oklahoma, but I had some friends tell me that we've got people in Oklahoma watching our show.
What? Wow. We got Georgia, Oklahoma. Wow.
Woodward, Oklahoma.
We're expanding across the South.
Have you ever heard of Woodward, Oklahoma?
Maybe I've driven through it and not noticed it, but no, I don't think that I have.
Look, some of the best folks I've ever met in my life. I mean, I got to tell you, they're the best people in the world. I'm talking about their heart is right. They're good people. They believe in right and wrong. Kevin and Tanya Hunter, Woodward, Oklahoma. Hey. They told me, I found out they watch our show regular. Anyway,
wow.
Back to Bossier City. So that gentleman got up and spoke in favor of this ordinance about the sign. I mean, about putting up stop signs, right? And
that sounds innocent and harmful or harmless enough. A stop sign.
Yeah, Sunflower and Rosemont. And there is a crosswalk at this intersection. There's a crosswalk been put in. A lot of people are starting to use it. And, the people around there are complaining that it's turned into a drag strip down there.
Okay. Now, let me make sure I'm clear. There's a crosswalk, but there's currently no stop sign or anything near the crosswalk. Am I correct?
No stop signs.
Okay.
But the city put in a crosswalk there.
So that just herds everybody together and makes them an easier target for the drivers, right?
Exactly. You can
okay.
run them down better.
Okay. Just making sure I was clear.
So as it would turn out, Hammonds, that's his district. And I'm guessing that probably some of the constituents during the election, they probably complained to him about the speed of cars and all that. And I'm guessing he's just checking a box. I'm thinking that this guy, he's putting up an ordinance to put up stop signs to try, at the request of people who live in there, right?
Right.
And So he's putting forward this ordinance. Who knew that this was going to be a confrontational deal? So apparently, him and Chris Smith, being an at large, and he's a South Bossier guy, we get it. They asked for a study, I guess of the engineer, a traffic study or something of the engineer to try to get validation of whether they needed a stop sign or what have you.
Yeah, what do those pesky people that live around there know about how many cars go by? We've got to pay for a study.
That's right. So they asked for it. So Hammonds brings it up or has it put on the agenda and brings it up. But apparently, for some reason, Tommy Chandler, and the only thing I can guess is Tommy Chandler, he's wanting to prove his conservative credentials to the citizens of Bossier and save money. He suddenly jumps up there. And let me just play. I don't want to put words in his mouth. Let's let you, the viewers, let you see it and you make your determination. So here we go.
Yes, sir, man.
Can I call Ben up and ask him? He did some studies on this thing. You mind Ben coming up?
Wait a minute. Pause that for a second. So you mean we get both the mayor saying something, actually participating in a meeting, and the return of the king all in one day? All in one meeting?
All in one day. Tommy Chandler is quiet as a mouse at all council meetings, but when it suddenly comes to a stop sign in some subdivision in South Bossier, all hell breaks loose.
That's right.
By gosh, he's got to be involved in it. We got to save money. Them stop signs are freaking expensive, Rex.
Yeah,
Did
so
you not know?
Yeah, I got to agree. So let's see. He's calling Ruttenbuck up there. Let's see what Ruttenbuck has to say.
I'm sure it was traffic engineering, huh?
Yes, sir. So at the request of Councilman Hammonds and Councilman Smith, we put some traffic collecting devices out there and got some data. And that's one of the reasons why this particular ordinance is before the council. Long story short, the data, when we're looking at that from an engineering perspective, we're looking for warrants for four-way stops, and that particular location did not warrant a four-way stop.
Well,
okay.
Shot down Mr. Hammonds.
So there you have it. Ruttenbuxton and Manshack, the engineering firm for hire, has then jumped up there and said, you know what? It doesn't warrant having a four-way stop. Newsflash, if Sobo wants a damn stop sign on a drag strip, you give them the damn stop sign. Why would the mayor march Manshack out there to fight the citizens of South Bossier on putting a freaking stop sign up down there? Why would he do that?
That's a good question. I want to put this comment up here because it kind of segues into a little bit more coming up. But Kaylee Larkin says, just put a Bossier Parish Sheriff's Office speed trap up. It's cheaper than Baby Bend. Now, here's the problem, Kaylee. It's actually in the city limits, so it would be Bossier PD. You know, they don't like to step on each other's toes, even though the Sheriff's Department does have jurisdiction in the city limits. So that kind of segues us into the next part of this video, right, Duke? What if they put up a speed trap?
Well, I'm dying to know, if Tommy Chandler, if he wants to be the mayor all of a sudden and he wants to save the citizens taxpayer dollars and he's all hell bent on saving on tax dollars on a freaking cost of a stop sign that could be pulled up, because we all know that signs can be pulled up, aka Sportran. He gave them permission, or a CAO or whoever the hell down there that won't acknowledge it, gave them permission to put signs all over Bossier and then demanded they pull them all up. I mean, we don't know what's the truth right now, do we? Or maybe we do.
But we're making it up as we go along.
So all of a sudden you want to be mayor and you care about a freaking stop sign in South Bossier? Are you freaking kidding me? Tell me where the freaking 8 digits are. Wait a minute. I got to take a breath.
Blood pressure.
I got to take a breath.
I'm
getting fired up because I can't give Tommy Chandler all the credit. King David's got some credit too here.
Bad boys too. Woosah.
All of them have ownership, because ain't freaking none of them, not Mayor Chandler, none of the council, none of them have asked for a line item of the 8 digits that Ruttenbuck said it would cost to reconsider Walter O. Bigby Carriageway. None of them. Not any of them. They could give a damn less about you, the taxpayer, all of you in Bossier City, and what is in the best interest of you, because none of them asked the question. I want to see them at the next council meeting ask the question. But hey, all of y'all, 100+ people watching, it's over 100, all of y'all watching, they dismiss y'all. Y'all are watching us live right now. Now, you don't all click like. We get that, and we respect that, because then all the people watching live can go back and see who liked their show, and then they can call and criticize you. We already know and had reports that they have selectively made phone calls to people that like our shows to try to influence you to not watch our shows and listen to what we're telling you. We already know that. That's fine. So watch it. We don't care. But just know this. They intentionally are doing this crap. On your own, pressure them and ask them, why the hell will they not give you line by line what the 8 digits, what is it, where would all that cost be? And ask them about Ruttenbuck's Manshak's contract and their arrows and omission, and if the failure on Shed Road, whose responsibility was it? And I want to point out something, Rex. Look at that audience right there. Look to Ruttenbuck's right shoulder, 1, 2, 3, 4 rows back on the outside seat. Who is that sitting there?
1, 2, 3, 4. Well, I can't really tell because he's got his head down.
Well, I'm going to tell you who I think that is. And for everybody watching in a walk down memory lane, and I don't know why he was there, maybe nobody else noticed it, but I'm pretty confident that that's Mr. Rossini that owns NTB. And if you recall, NTB is who Tommy Chandler and the city attorney and Ruttenbuck tried to cast all the blame off on for the responsibility of the failure at Shed Road. Well, and they even called a special meeting to try to hang him at the highest tree in Bossier City.
But I would like to point out that since then, Charles Jacobs is a new man, and he has figured out, he said it tonight, how to read contracts. That whole scenario back then was simply because none of them thought to actually read the contract till they threatened to fire somebody and put themselves in liability way.
Now that's bullcrap as you know it, because still,
I'm trying to be positive, dude.
I know you are, but I'm on the negative train. I'm sorry, and call me Negative Nelly tonight, but the fact of the matter is they freaking can't, none of them read. And I can prove it. Even as recent as today, they can't read, and they don't read.
Okay, circling back.
Had a councilman text me while we've been live, and I told him point blank, they freaking can't read.
I can't argue with that. All right, so circling back, let's get back to this stop sign / Ruttenbuck.
So all of a sudden, Tommy Chandler gets fired up about this stop sign. By gosh, we got to save the taxpayers. I mean, the cost of going and putting a freaking stop sign in South Bossier. I mean, when it comes to sending a laborer out there to put a freaking sign up, they damn sure he can, lose his crap over that, but he damn sure can't lose his crap over millions of dollars. I mean, in fact, he's, a little mouse over in the corner. He can't even articulate anything. Or is it because he's not allowed to articulate anything? I mean, considering the way he butchered the Air Force and, the base commander there, I would say maybe they don't need him to speak.
Well, I would say it's probably even a simpler explanation than that. I would say that his handlers, they can't let the new upstart, the bull in the china closet, Brian Hammonds, get by with a stop sign, not right out of the gate.
Well, maybe it's Tommy, if you're smart and you're listening, maybe they're sending you down the road so you're a one-termer. Newsflash, I got to tell you right now, you're a one-termer.
Yeah, well, and so segueing right into that again, mysterious Mark Smith, who has now had more showtime than anybody else tonight, says no more amigos. Well, if you had been paying attention for, 6 months, Mark Smith, maybe 5 months. Anyway, you would know that, the amigos broke up a long time ago. It's almost as bad as the Beatles breaking up. There's one amigo left. Although I will say, so far, Brian Hammonds is doing a pretty fine job of trying to become an amigo.
I don't know if this was more like Van Halen, maybe, and Eddie Lee Roth. I mean,
that was worse when David Lee left. But anyway, okay.
But so back to the stop sign, And I got to tell you, Hammonds was on fire today.
Yes, he was.
Bossier City, you got a councilman, and let's go to Hammonds on this stop sign issue, okay?
I agree. Hit it.
That there.
If I could, Ben, during the time that the study was done was at a time that we had a very high police presence out there from the request, one of me and of just about everybody that lives and backs up to Sunflower Road right there. So while they were doing the study, I know the traffic study did not show the speeds and everything that we were hoping for of everybody going up and down the road, but a lot of that was due to the fact that the police department was doing such a fantastic job out there running radar, writing tickets, and everything like that. Another main.
So did you catch what he was saying?
Well, I caught what Ruttenbuck was thinking. You know what he was thinking? Oh, crap. He did his homework.
Well, no. He did his homework. Yeah, I'm catching up to you here in a second. But for everybody, because I'm thinking about everybody watching, and what the hell did they just hear? So Tommy Chandler marches the quote unquote city engineer Ruttenbuck up there to all of a sudden to save the taxpayer dollars on a freaking stop sign. But what did he do? He also used the mayor obviously used the police department to march them down there to affect the outcome of the study. He went and freaking had cops set up everywhere while they were doing the study to affect the outcome of the study, to get a different result. And then marches Ruttenbuck up here at the council meeting to try to testify.
But that's got to be the handlers. You're giving Tommy entirely too much credit.
Maybe I am.
Oh, wait, I forgot. I have to be positive. I'm sorry. That was negative of me.
But Brian Hammonds, like him or not, he caught it, and he just spilled it out there.
Yeah, he did a good job. Good job, Brian.
That is quintessential wag the dog right here, guys. And later on in the show, you're going to hear somebody make the comment and say, that's the Bossier way. There you go. This is the Bossier way.
Well, and Kaylee brings up something that I was actually going to mention is, at first I thought when Tommy actually spoke up, I thought maybe he had seen the light of the day, and in the new spirit of positivity, he was actually going to call Ruttenbuck up there and announce that the city was going to do a full-scale audit of Manchac and their dealings with the city of Bossier. But apparently not.
Oh, good grief. Tommy Chandler ain't got audit in his bones. He ain't got it.
I agree.
There's no audit to be had. That was all fluff.
And he's not enough of a planner to know to put the cops out there to sabotage Brian Hammonds' deal.
No way at all. So
okay.
Look,
anyway,
moving along on this issue, you guys are thinking, okay, well, maybe the stop sign from hell is done with. Oh no, we were not done with the stop sign from hell.
I was going to segue to buses, but you mean this is not over yet? How complicated?
No,
it's like a steel pole with a couple of bolts in it and a sign.
The best is yet to come. The fact that Bossier City has a councilman that doesn't hold back, and look, David Jones, I'm gonna give you credit, and David may not like it, and I don't care if David likes it, but David, you can not like it, but it's the truth. The fact that you've got a councilman now that maybe could hold the David Jones Award, you got one today, and it's coming because Hammonds is fixing to do the old proverbial mic drop. And I don't think he wasn't meaning this mic drop towards Councilman Darby. I don't think that was the case at all, but just the way it all transpired, Darby asked a question, and Darby's question was legitimate. It really was. But Hammond's response here, and I think it was because Hammonds was getting disgruntled, makes a response, and you guys have just got to hear it. And I'm curious, do y'all think it was a mic drop moment or not? Here we go.
I guess, I don't know if I want to ask you or Councilmember Smith or Councilmember Hammonds, is there a petition by your constituents in that area, resident, that a written petition to do
I,
this?
I don't have one. This was brought up by Mr. Hammonds.
No, I mean, there's not a petition. I mean, just kind of like I don't think there was a petition on the last stop sign we just approved a couple of weeks ago for Councilman Maggio down in his district. I don't think he had a petition either. I mean, if we need a petition, I can surely get one.
Yeah. No,
Oh, by the way, remember that other stop sign that nobody said jack about and we just approved it?
I mean, I don't think there was a traffic study. I don't think there was no petition. I don't think there was a damn thing when it was in, Councilman Vince Maggio's district.
And
But
by
all
the
of a sudden
way,
we come to
and by the way, if
district,
you want a petition, I'll just go do one.
we got to have a petition. We got to have a traffic study. All this crap to get a stop sign that the citizens of Sobo are asking for down there. They want to prevent a freaking drag strip, and you got the mayor wants to be a mayor on a stop sign. But when it comes to saving millions of dollars on Walter O. Bigby Carriageway and prevent the oldest road in Bossier City from being shut down, he's freaking AWOL. Guys, he was in freaking Las Vegas playing golf with the fire chief when his first budget was being passed.
But by God, he's here for a stop sign.
But by God, he's here for a stop sign.
No
So
telling
y'all
how
don't
much
like
we had
his-
to. No telling how much we had to pay in tax dollars to Ruttenbuck and crew to do this study. I wonder
But
what they
that
bill
don't-
per hour for that. If we can
That
get
don't freaking matter. It only matters if the citizens get a stop sign to slow the traffic down or stop the traffic or for a crosswalk for them to walk across the street. By God, we can't have that. I mean, no, that's where you draw the line of the citizens getting some benefit out of their freaking local government. That's where you draw the line.
Hey, I want to point out something. I wish I could zoom in on that, but I really don't have a good way to do that. I want you to look at the difference in Brian Hammond sitting there right now, his posture and demeanor versus King David.
Oh, he's about to blow. He's about to blow. And look, I told you, the return of the king. I saw this part. I mean, it's building. He's finally. I mean, it's been how many meetings? We got to go back and see what was the last meeting that he even had a comment. Hardly.
You're right. And let me pause for just a second. So Lisa Simon put up a comment, said she's listening. So I wanted to just verbally acknowledge we appreciate you listening in, Lisa, and hope you're enjoying our take on the Bossier City Council and local government this evening. Okay. Back to the soap opera, Mr. Lowry.
Back to the soap opera, which is Bossier City, and the gift that just keep on giving. So Brian made, the meeting goes on. I mean, he dropped the mic on that one there. I don't know if you can get any better. I mean,
Any better than, hey, what about the other stop sign in the other guy's district? Y'all didn't say anything about that. And by the way, if you want a damn petition, I'll just go fire one up and go door to door and get it. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that, Brian. That's awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome. So he dropped the mic there, and you ended up getting to the issue of the Walter O. Bigby carriageway. And for a lot of you don't know, there was a couple of phases to that thing. You had the Walter O. Bigby carriageway part 1 and you had part 2. Well, apparently there was, I think about $1 million supposedly left over on part 1. And Ruttenbuck's wanting to move that $1 million over on part 1 over onto part 2 to cover change orders. And maybe, look, we've got some high achieving viewers, and a lot of you know that, during a construction project, sometimes you have change orders for the better or for the worse. I mean, it happens, but in Bossier, it seems to happen more often than other places that we have these change orders, and rarely do they go down in Bossier. It seems like they repetitively and always go up. In fact, at this council meeting, they just approved I forget the name of the street. We did it in the previous show, $195,000. But if you'll remember in the previous show,
was that Bruce Street, the Force
Bruce
Main?
Street.
Yeah.
That's it. it doubled in price. It was an all-inclusive price of $195,000, but then all of a sudden, Manchac had an additional bid or additional billing in there that drove the price over double. Over 300 plus something $1,000, and nobody on the council hardly asked a question about it. They just rubber stamped it.
It's like going to the Chinese buffet and you get the buffet for one price, but oh, by the way, when they bring out some more noodles, they charge you extra for those noodles. That's not the way it's supposed to work, but anyway.
That's right. So, again, the councilman of Bossier, the one you have, he wasn't having none of it. Brian Hammonds to the rescue again.
Well, before we do that, though, we need to let everybody know what was the end result of the stop sign.
Well, they voted unanimously to do it.
Oh.
Brian Hammonds was effective in the mic drop saying, well, you didn't have a problem or you have to have all of this a week or two ago for, Councilman Maggio, but now all of a sudden you got to have all of this. Unanimous vote in favor of doing it.
Oh, South Bossier got a stop sign. Good job.
South Bossier got a stop sign.
All right. So
Good job, Brian Hammonds.
So circling back to Ruttenbuck.
Yep. So Brian made some more statements. Walter O'Bigby, here we go.
I would just like to see the city getting to some point where we bid a job and it comes in somewhere close to estimate. I know that's not a big a thing to ask, but it's just like every time we turn around, it's just more money and more money and more money and more money going out. And at some point, it's got to stop.
Pay attention to King David over there, the far one on the right.
But, that's all I got to say on it.
Mr. Rauschenbach, I would at request for the new councilman that we go back to all of the issues that we encountered, and the numerous ones of
King David speaks.
Lines,
he has to defend his cash cow.
That they get a understanding of when unknowns are encountered, you can either stop the work or you can continue the project. And certainly everyone in this room would want to continue the project. So I think it would be advantageous to understand the history of the jobs, how they were bid, and how we got here today.
Yeah, and excuse me, to kind of add on that, just Brian, so you're aware, when we stepped into the engineering role, and I was looking at pay applications that had been approved and work that had been approved prior to my involvement, we were looking at a $1.2 million deficit in what had been allocated for that project. So in order to ensure that when the contractor's pay applications came in, this is work that had already been approved and complete, if I'm making sense here. So work that's been approved, that work's complete, it was added to the project, but there was this much project left and this much money in the bank, okay? So we worked with the contractor and the council.
Hey, pause that for a second. Did you just really grasp what he said? He literally just threw King David and the rest of the morons up there under the bus. And I don't think he even realized it. Folks, did y'all catch that? Who have been the councilman for the last umpteen years that he just said there was, to use his expression, this much work and this much money?
Let me play it again.
Yes.
Approved and complete, if I'm making sense here. So work that's been approved, that work's complete, it was added to the project, but there was this much project left and this much money in the bank.
Oh, okay. Whose responsibility was that? Who's been on the council and been the biggest cheerleader who may as well have a skirt and pom-poms for Manchac?
Well, wait a minute. I think maybe Manchac is trying to go backwards and blame the former city engineer.
Maybe
as
so.
being responsible.
But who controls the budget? Who controls the purse strings in our local government?
Well, I'm just wondering. So if that be the case, is that not what happened with the Walter O. Bigby carriageway and the Shed Road thing? We got this big a budget and we got this much money, or we got this much railroad to cross and this much to do it. I don't know. But King David pointed out that maybe he could corner up, maybe Ben could get with the new councilman and explain what their ignorance on the subjects are. Well, I'm just wondering, since King David has all the answers, maybe King David, could you do us a favor? Maybe you could get Ruttenbuck to, in writing, put down the 8-digit expense, and while he's at it, line item what the 8 digits in cost would have been on the Shed Road crossing. Obviously, the new councilmen were not a part and they don't know, and you do know because you just said it. So why don't you get, Ben to put that down for us so we can all know, so the citizens can know, not just the councilmen that are on your cohorts on there, but get him to put it down in writing. And I tell you what, we will share it to all of the citizens of Bossier. And while we're at it, I want you to also let the citizens of Bossier know who is responsible for the debacle, because you try to put it on NTB. NTB came to the mic and actually pointed out that it wasn't their responsibility. And I'm just wondering, did whoever it was responsible, did they have errors and omission? You're in the insurance business. Did they have errors and omissions in their insurance policy? I mean, we did get that from the city of Bossier and their COI, and I got to tell you, they did have errors and omissions, and it did reach the level of 5 digits. So I'm wondering why you, as an at-large councilman representing every citizen in the city of Bossier, why you haven't called for an explanation of the 8 digits to every citizen in Bossier. Why are you only advocating for Ben to explain it to the new councilman? Why not every citizen in Bossier? Because they want to know. Shed Road is the oldest historical road in Bossier City. Why? There's still no answer.
Still no answer.
But I know we got stop signs to stop in Bossier City. We got higher priorities. I mean, those are bigger fish to fry, right? Got it.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, continue on.
Oh, I'm getting messages like crazy. Anyway, moving right along. So, King David, more of it.
Drive that was required by DOTD, which we have nothing to do with other than follow their rules and say, yes, we're going to do this and build the road. So I do think it's important. And for the record, all of this was public record. Correct. So through all the other previous council members, this was open and presented to the public. So everyone was privy to that information.
So everybody watching, every citizen of Bossier,
it's your fault.
Because it's your fault.
Well, technically it is, because everybody in Bossier has been electing King David and the rest of the, geriatrics up there. Oh, I'm sorry, that wasn't nice. The rest of the city councilmen up there that have been up there for decades.
Yeah, it's y'all's fault because you aren't able to go to every city meeting and make sure that,
in the middle of the afternoon.
That projects aren't being steered or overbid or money diverted or all these things. Here's an interesting thing. I'm just wondering if there's $1 million extra off of the first phase, why couldn't they give you, the taxpayers, a break? Why couldn't they have tried to start pushing some of that money back to you? Why is it that they have all of these slush funds, and why is it that these monies, if there's overages in every one of these things, that they just roll it over into this account or they leave it there? Why can't they ever cut you, the taxpayer, slack? Why is that?
It could be like, which Batman movie was it? Was it the Joker that went around throwing the cash out and then hit them with the poison gas? Anyway, I digress.
Yeah. I mean,
I can see King David and Ruttenbuck out there throwing dollar bills out as dressed up as the Joker. Okay. Anyway, I think it was the Joker. All right. Sorry,
Kaylee Larkin says, because they have to cover those water billing merchant fees, Duke.
Yes, they do.
But look,
all right,
guys, they dismiss us, and we are irrelevant. And like, you are our producers. You tell us what you want to watch and what you don't watch. Because if you don't want to watch and you didn't care about what's going on in Bossier City, there wouldn't still be 80 plus people still watching. And Rex, how long have we been at this now? It's got to be
2 hours, 4 minutes, and 27 seconds.
So, to you politicians that are watching and are dismissive of us, and especially city attorneys who are even more dismissive of us, and mayors who are give us no count, we've been over 80 plus people for over 2+ hours now watching us talk about y'all and the business that you're conducting and how you're doing it.
I would like to, while you're saying that, I would like to point out a couple of things, because I was putting together some videos for advertising and stuff like that in the last couple of days, and some interesting stats. Do you know that in our first year, we have reached via Facebook, and that's just on the Bossier Watch channel, not Louisiana Watch, we've reached over 64,000 people in year one. And we didn't do any advertising, folks. No boosting a post, no nothing. It's just generic sharing out.
Now that is absolutely amazing, because if somebody goes to our videos after the show's over and they look at it, we might have 10, 12 likes or dislikes or whatever. You would think, if you've never watched the show, you would think that nobody watches the show. I mean, and we're not bragging about this, but you would think based off of that nobody cares. Nobody's watching. And we're just babbling on.
But here's what I can tell you is that within 24 hours, we'll have over 1,000 views of this show. And not that everybody watches every single minute of it. We understand, of course, completely how that works. But look, we had part of the reason we created the YouTube channel was so that people could watch it more anonymously, because we got that feedback, folks. That there are people that want to watch the show and hear what we have to say and hear what we ran about. But, Facebook doesn't make it easy to do that anonymously, and you can on YouTube. And so that's part of the reason we started the YouTube channel.
It goes to the Joe Rogan thing, Rex, because, and we recognized it, that, people don't like and share because they don't want people to know that maybe they are taking a side, or maybe they're following this, or maybe not. And we've also been informed that there are politicos that call, and people that they recognize that are watching the show and or commenting or engaging in an attempt to deter them from engaging. But yet we see the audience continuing to grow, and we see consistent. So to all of you watching and following the show, guys, y'all are making a difference, and you're becoming informed. And as you tell a friend about what you learned on this show, I mean, look, do we make mistakes in reporting? Yeah, we do. We're human. We're amateurs. We admit it. We're citizen journalists. But we're giving you the take. We're trying to show you the video and the evidence every time, and allow you to make your own opinion. If we get it wrong, by all means, tell us, and we'll correct it. But we think we're pretty much on the mark, and we've gotten feedback from politicos that we're more right than we know.
Well, the pinnacle, the defining moment will be if we ever have police jurors or city councilmen that mention saying something or doing something and being on our show amongst themselves. That if that ever happens, that would be like the height of what we can accomplish.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things going on in Bossier. There's a lot of things going on in Bossier Parish, and this is Bossier Watch, and we are trying to enlighten you. We're only successful if you are successful, and you've got to tell your friends, get them to be involved, get them to learn about what's going on in your local government, because if you haven't realized it by now, the majority of your elected officials don't want you involved. They don't want you informed. They don't want you asking questions. They don't want you to know that there are appointed seats that you could potentially be put on so that you could influence how your community goes. They don't want you to know. They want you to be deaf, dumb, and stupid, not know what's going on, and just let them do the things, no bid contracts, professional services, appoint who the hell they want to appoint. And if you guys are content with that, then you know what? I go back to Merle Haggard. I go back to Merle Haggard.
Well, look, the
we
whole
we are a snowflake rolling in hell.
Well, the whole reason we started the show was to kind of show the behind the scenes or inside baseball of what goes on in politics. We're not here to, show the positive thing that somebody got the Bossier Beautification Award. If you want that, go read the regular newspapers or the regular news outlets and all that. We're here to pick apart the stuff that our local politicians and regional politicians do and get people to think a little bit further than just what you read in the average newspaper. And of course we put our spin on it, and we're not necessarily fair nor balanced either about it. We try to, if we have a guest on, we try to treat them fair and be relatively nice, but that doesn't mean we're going to be fair and balanced.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And so for all of y'all in the future, we got to tell you, we've got stuff cooking on the Cypress District, and we expect shockwaves to come out of that. You're going to be, you might ought to have a barf bag pretty close when it all comes to light, but you're going to be sick to your stomach and probably hurl. Bossier City, we're still going to be on top of that. We've got stuff that's going to come out of Bossier City, and your council, your mayor, your government body in Bossier City, I would argue, are, in my opinion, are ignoring some things to the detriment of the citizens of Bossier City. They're intentionally doing it. And I would like to be proven wrong on that, but that's the way I'm reading the tea leaves. And the school board, they could make a difference right now. You've got some guys that are wanting to do something and make a change up there, but you've got some lukewarm school board members and a superintendent. Look, Mitch Downey was a wrestling coach. He was just inducted into the, I didn't even know this was a thing, Louisiana Wrestling Hall of Fame, I think, or whatever. But he was a wrestler at Parkway and coach at Bossier High School. I mean, when I wrestled for Halton, he was a coach at Bossier. Knew him back then. I liked him back then. But now, I mean, if he's going to follow the advice of the governor's, attorney John Geis steering all the school boards, then I got to tell you, he needs to go. He doesn't need to be that. I mean, Bossier Parish is a conservative parish, and we don't like being fooled, and something needs to change there. And if the school board members don't have the spine to make a change, they need to be run out of Dodge as well too. And I'm going to go on and say it. Tammy Smith, Glenn Bullard, there needs to be opponents against those two for the next school board elections. Those are coming up. If you're in those districts and you want to run, by all means, call us. We're going to get you on the show, and we're going to try to help you, because neither of those candidates, in my opinion, have proven that they need to continue to be on the school board. They need to go.
Yeah, so in summary, folks, we got a lot more to talk about in the upcoming year. We've got a lot of things going on, a lot of irons in the fire, and we appreciate every one of you. I mean, we still got 70-plus people watching right now at 2 hours and 15 minutes, so hey, we appreciate it.
Tim Mueller says, I'm still offended by Duke's hat. Get him a new one. Look, Tim, the Dominator said, what did he tell his son? To follow who? What did he tell him? Paging Tim Mueller. Follow Jeff Gordon, baby.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that said, I have some red beans and rice waiting on me, and I'm about to go eat them.
Good night, folks. We appreciate y'all watching tonight.
Yep, appreciate it. See y'all next show. Well, maybe Thursday night, but definitely next Tuesday.
Thursday night. Wait a minute. We're about to sign off. Thursday night. Wait a minute.
Yep. Hold on.
Thursday
Don't click off yet, folks. What do we
Yeah,
got?
don't
We
leave.
got a guest Thursday night on Louisiana Watch. So who's coming up?
We got a guest. We got a candidate for lieutenant governor.
Whoa. We're uptown now. So who's
We
it going to
gotta-
be? Or are we going to keep it
Should
in
we
mystery?
leave it? Should we leave it in suspense? I got to tell you, I'm thinking that he's going to have some comments to say about some of the recent events with the governor and transparency and whether or not he would
This
not
whole
tell
state
the-
trooper gate thing going on.
Yeah, and you know whether the governor would be square with the citizens of Louisiana, especially when it came upon an election regarding some things. I mean, and he's got an interesting position on things as that he was a part of the civil rights movement. David Womack, hint.
Yeah. Well, that will definitely be an interesting show. And so, yeah, we'll put out an event deal for that tomorrow. I'll get that out on both Bossier Watch and Louisiana Watch. So that'll definitely be a great interview.
Absolutely. Good night,
All right.
everybody.
Good night, folks. Y'all have a good evening. Thanks for watching.